Holy cow. Did I time that music exactly or what? That was completely by accident. Maybe the gods are with me tonight. That was a great sign. Good evening, everybody. How you doing? Long time no see. A few hours at least. Good to be here. Good to be here. Welcome. Welcome. Tuesday night. 8 o'clock. Here we go again. See, the crowd is clambering through the doors. Always great to see everybody chatting away. Good, good, good. So, I'm guessing everybody likes these live streams in the morning. I'm liking them. Getting great attendance. A lot of people who aren't members of the private community are coming into that live stream that generally don't come into my other live streams for some reason. Timing, maybe it's that it's a good time for some of the rest of the world, but not the greatest time for the west coast of Florida. But so far, it seems to be working out about 8:30 in the morning. And basically, that's all you can do here on YouTube is if something's working, keep doing it. If it stops working, got to figure out something else. Nothing seems to go on this platform. Consistently, everything's always changing every day. I see videos from all of these people who tell you what's going on with YouTube and what changes there are on the algorithms and what's working and what doesn't work. It's constant. It's constant. I'm too old to change what I do every day. I don't want to do that. I'd love to just settle into something that people enjoy and just do it and not have to keep chasing the new, big, pretty, bright thing that everybody else seems to do, whether that's shorts or whether that's flashing text all over the place or mind-blowing editing, faster stuff. More information, more flash, direct to the brain. I don't want to do that. If that's what you have to do to continue on YouTube, I'm going to just fade out quietly, I think. But in the meantime, what I'm doing now, I like. It's comfortable for me, and as long as you like it, and more importantly, it may be helping somebody. That's the main objective. We'll just keep on going because I am enjoying it. And I do enjoy these live streams. And I do enjoy talking to you guys and sipping on coffee, puffing on a cigar. And reading comments. Speaking of comments, where did I put my cell phone? I don't seem to have my cell phone in here. Wow. What am I going to do? Well, I have my watch. And I'm going to have to either say, excuse me while I go find my cell phone, or let's take a look at my watch and see, because my watch shows me the notifications from my cell phone, and I've got it muted anyway so I don't get any calls. Well, that's something that we have these days that we never used to have. We have, and it's a very real thing. Cell phone separation anxiety. Sounds like an official disease, an official psychological condition, doesn't it? CSA, cell phone separation anxiety. Any of you who have ever misplaced your cell phone and have become frantic, it's like misplacing your wallet, for God's sake. I think it's even worse. It has become a thing. We've become so dependent on those things. They're always with us. We're always reachable. We're always in touch. Personally, I don't think that's such a good thing. I think back on the days when we all had answering machines. Remember those days? We didn't even have cell phones. I remember the first cell phones. I remember the first car phones. I had a car phone. I had a car phone when in the entire Tampa Bay area, there were only 300 allotments for car phones. I'm talking about the entire Tampa Bay area. There were 300 car phones that shared 4 channels. And these channels were regular radio channels, and only 4 people with the 300 phones could actually use their phones at the same time, or else you couldn't use it. And I had a car phone back then. And it was really something. And then the cell phones came out, and they came out with the phones in the bag. And I had one of those where you had a bag with a big battery and all in it, and had a handset that came out with a coiled cord. And then they came out with the bricks, had one of those, and then they started getting smaller and smaller. And then the idea was to get the teeniest, tiny little cell phone. Everybody's running around like this with these little tiny flip phones. And then they started getting bigger again. And then the first smartphones came out, and then Samsung came out with their first big smartphone, their first Galaxy. And I got one of those, and it was gigantic compared to the iPhone. It was huge. It's small compared to today's phones, but it was big, and everybody made fun of me. Everybody made fun of me with that big phone. So things come and go. Trends come and go. Maybe this trend towards poisonous food, knock on wood, maybe it'll go. I don't think it's going to go quickly, unfortunately. Well, if you have anything you want to talk about, or you have a question for me, put 3 capital Q's, Q, 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 together before your message in the chat. If you really want to grab my attention, you can say @ Old Guy Carnivore, and it'll light up red on my screen. And that grabs my attention. And if you feel generous and you feel like I've actually earned something or done something to help you out along the way, feel free to throw me a super chat. I always appreciate those things. And believe me, they light up all bright colors for a reason. Now, the guys that are so busy, like Sean Baker and Chafee and Ken Berry, that's the only way to get their attention. And I don't play that game. You don't have to. I will answer every question I can find. But sometimes I got to tell you, it is, it's a little bit with all the chat that goes by. And for me trying to concentrate on what I'm talking about, I do miss, and I apologize for that. I do miss some questions. Here's a question I just saw go by. Steve Studley. How you doing, Steve? Says, how much iodine? Well, that's kind of up for debate, I guess. You hear all kinds of different things. Right now, I've kind of settled on 2 drops a day in my coffee, and I think that that's probably right for me. I've heard some people taking 8 drops a day. Some people taking more than that. Some people don't take it. I think it's an individual thing. I don't really want to recommend a certain amount, because everybody would have to find out what's right for them. And it's so very hard to know, because you have to basically figure out how much iodine is missing from the food you're buying, and how are we supposed to know that? Thyroid problems are symptoms of low iodine, but iodine is used in hundreds of places around the body. You need it for overall organ health. So I don't think you can go wrong with a drop or 2 of the Lugol's 2%. I don't think you can go wrong with a drop or 2 or 3 a day. You won't overdose on it. You can't do yourself. I don't think you can do yourself any harm, at least according to those that I would assume are knowledgeable, guys like Ken Berry and them. And Ken Berry's got some excellent videos about iodine, and I a lot of times defer for this kind of stuff to him because he seems to be, I know he's a doctor, and he seems to be very conscientious. And I think he takes his Hippocratic oath very seriously, as in do no harm. Something maybe our current crop of doctors need to remind themselves that they swore to, if you know what I mean. Mark C., thank you, Mark. How you doing, buddy? Gifted 5 Old Guy Carnivore private community memberships. Always appreciate that, and our private community is growing, and in great part thanks to you. And Roseberry FH was gifted a membership. Wisteria, J. Tharp, Drew Furstenberger, and Laura K. So if you're here and you're watching, you're now a member of the private community for a month on Mark C. Say thank you, Mark C. And you can come to our private community live stream on Thursday night. Join in the chat. If you have the nerve, you can log in and be right up there in a window on the screen with me and some of the other great members that we have, and we have a great time. And if after a month you decide, well, this is not for me, I don't want to spend $4 a month, $3.99 to be a member of this, then you just don't renew it. It's very simple. But enjoy the 30 days. Enjoy it. Take advantage of that. Take advantage of that. Thank you, Mark. Thank you again. Let me drink a little coffee. Here's another question here. We have a question, and I'm gonna grab them when I see them before I actually go look at it. I don't want to miss any. So if I see one go by kind of in passing, I will grab it and try to answer it. Question, what's your favorite brand of hot dogs? Mine's the ballpark short ones that plump up and split when you boil in water for about 20 minutes. Masked Mofo. I like that. Okay, Mofo. My favorite brand used to be Hebrew National, but they doctored them up. The kind of quarter-pound all-beef dogs I used to get, I can't find anymore. People have recommended hot dogs to me that are pretty clean, that don't have a lot of soy products, don't have a lot of grains and fillers in them, don't have a lot of chemicals and spices, seed oils, all kinds of crap they put in these things to make them more addictive and cheaper to manufacture. I gave up looking. Honest to God, I gave up looking for hot dogs. I used to, every couple of times I went into Costco or Sam's Club, I'd go through the hot dog case and start reading the labels, and it wasn't long before I just got thoroughly disgusted with the crap they're putting in them and said, you know, I don't really need hot dogs. I don't need the spices that they put in them. And they do load them up with garlic and other things, and I've kind of weaned myself off of that. So I don't eat hot dogs. The last time I used hot dogs was I made that wild concoction of a soup that had everything but the kitchen sink in it. And I chopped up some hot dogs and threw it in there too. But between you and me, it would have been probably better without the hot dogs, because the hot dogs were loaded with garlic. And they were Nathan's, who used to be another great brand of hot dogs. So I'll keep looking out if I can find, but I've kind of given up on the hot dogs and sausages. And not because it wouldn't be nice once in a while, but the longer I stay in carnivore, the less variety I need. It just happens. You know, you look at guys that have been doing it a long, long time, like Anthony Chafee and Sean Baker. These guys pretty much eat ribeyes, salt and water. That's about the extent of their diet. And it's not because there's nothing else they can eat. There's tons of stuff you can eat on a relatively strict, clean carnivore diet. You just don't want it. And the variety in food tends to just, at least it has for me and so many others that I've talked to, loses its appeal. It's just not a thing anymore. Variety and excitement and adventure in food is not important. Doesn't matter. Becomes like fueling up your car. You get hungry. The food that you eat tastes fabulous. Bacon and eggs. God, I love bacon. But I'm not addicted to bacon. I don't think about the bacon until right before I'm going to eat it. Bacon doesn't pop in my mind. I don't Jones for bacon. I talked about that this morning. But I do enjoy it when I eat it. And that, I think, is the way it's supposed to be. We're maybe not supposed to be focusing on and obsessing over food 24/7. But that's what the carb addiction, not food addiction, no such thing. That's what the carb addiction does to us. So if anybody finds a great hot dog that's clean and doesn't have a lot of crap in it, let us know, please. Tell us about it. Tell us about it. CB Carmack was the first one in. I am first. Oh my God, I won the lottery. And then he says, for some reason, he thought it was Thursday. It's been a busy week. Busy, not this week, but the past 7 days with that storm and all of that nonsense that we had to go through. I'm still, believe it or not, unwinding from the stress and worry and excitement of that little adventure. Jody, my buddy, is here. Drone Shots, how you doing? And Boyd Lamb is here. Ellen's here early today. Hi, Ellen, how you doing? Good to see you. And Ellen makes friends with virtually everybody. She says, it's time for the paw tea. Get it? Yes. Scooby the dog. Yes. Loco Emu, too, is here, says hello. And everybody's saying hi to everybody else for a while. Richard Williams is here. How you doing, Richard? From Copper Hill, Tennessee. Good to see you. Another Richard is Richard's CDL driver. Good evening to you, Richard. And we have Terry Wilson. Good to be here. Looking for some wisdom. I'll let you know if I find some. Susan M is here. How you doing? And Patty, Mama Cracker. Hi, Patty. Good to see you. Good to see you. And this is still before the stream started, even before the countdown started. So it's about the same 8 or 10 people banging back and forth here. We have Mark Booz. Hey, Mark. How you doing? Zeno is here, and Peter, Papa Carnivore, is here. That's what I said. Papa Carnivore is here. Mark Davis is here. Hey, Mark. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Hope all is well. Nick Sheeson is here. Hiya, Nick. Good to see you. Always good to see you. And Polish Mike. I like Polish Mike. Polish Mike calls me boss. I spent a lot of time in my life being the boss. People used to call me boss. I like that. Unfortunately, when you're the boss, they come to you looking for their paychecks. Sometimes it's not good to be the boss. But like Mel Brooks said, it's good to be the king. Jerry Vodstush is here. Hi, from Ponte Vedra Beach up near Jacksonville. Good to see you, as usual. And Randy K. Hi, Randy, from Laramie, Wyoming. Evidently, Randy's on the road again. Randy's my cigar smoking buddy. Been around this channel since the first day I started it, and always been a good friend. Good to see you, Randy. Ellen's saying hi to everybody and everybody more. Mike Seeley is here. Did I miss your kid, or did you beat him tonight? Anyway, Mike Seeley Sr., father of United Carnivore. Good to see you. Michael Pregler. Hey, Michael. How you doing, my friend? Ted and Cindy T is here. Says, hey, everyone. Free Texanet. I like that name, Texanet. Already had your meat. So did I. So did I. For my first meal today, I know that you hang on the suspense of the burning question. Wonder what Mitch ate today. I know it's on all your minds. The suspense is over. Yay. I made some, you know how I make that slow cooked chuck? Was my biggest video ever, over 200,000 views, where I took a chuck roast, threw it in a slow cooker on low for 8 hours, shredded it up, put it in the fridge, and then cut it up into like quarters and heated it up, and it was delicious. Well, I decided I was going to do that, and I did that, and about halfway through doing it, I said, let me turn this into some kind of soup. So I threw 3 chicken thighs in there. I just threw the chicken thighs in with it, and I threw a couple cups of water in there, and I just let it go for somewhat over 8 hours, and it made delicious. And then I took it out, and I shredded up all the meat, and took the chicken off the bones, and shredded all that stuff, and mixed it all up, and I had chuck roast and chicken thigh soup, and it was delicious. So I ate a big bowl of that today for my first meal, and then for my second meal, about 4 hours later, I ate bacon and eggs, and that was it. And that's all I ate today, and that's all I care to eat today. And that amazes me on a daily basis, that I find no desire to. I don't feel deprived in any way. I feel always perfectly satisfied as far as hunger goes, just eating those 2 meals of nothing but meat or eggs or occasionally some fish or chicken. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. Zeno. Hi, Zeno. How you doing? Question, Mitch. I was wondering, what's your sleep schedule? I'm pretty consistent as far as sleep goes. I generally climb in bed between 10 and 11 o'clock, except on Tuesday night. Because after I finish this live stream at 10 o'clock, I'm still pretty keyed up from it. And I usually end up finally climbing into bed at midnight. And I break all the cardinal rules about climbing into bed. I don't shield myself from blue light. I climb into bed and watch TV until I start nodding off. I'm not listening to Andrew Huberman and those guys and following all their stuff. I do parade around in the grass at my bare feet every once in a while and get sunlight, and that's about the extent. That's about the extent of the rituals. I don't have a sauna. I don't have a cold plunge. I don't do all that kind of stuff, and I seem to be doing pretty good. So I'm happy. I'm happy with that. I try to uncomplicate things instead of overcomplicate them. Could I do better? Maybe. I want it to be simple. I keep thinking back to how the cavemen do it. The cavemen didn't have blue light filters. They didn't have saunas and ice baths. They had caves with dirt and rocks and some animal skins and meat. Somehow they survived. I think they probably were healthier than we are. So that's my sleep schedule. I wake up about 4:45 to 5 o'clock generally. I never set the alarm. I'm always up. Depends on the times change with the change of daylight. So I find my sleep schedule is more in the morning, more geared to sunrise. And I usually wake up about an hour or two before sunrise. So we'll see what happens when we set the clocks here in November. But that's what I sleep. And I get, I would say, a pretty solid 6 hours of sleep every night. Occasionally, but not all the time, I do wake up in the middle of the night. And like most old men, Sometimes I'll wake up and have to go to the bathroom, but generally not. Generally, I can sleep through the whole night without getting up to pee, which I think is a blessing at my age. Most men my age have pretty extreme BPH. If you don't know what BP, it's an enlarged prostate. It means benign prostatic hyperplasia. It's not cancer. That's why it starts with benign. But there's a lot of reasons why men's prostates just grow. Their cells multiply. There's all kinds of things, and a lot of it is triggered by the bad diet. They say that iodine helps. It's one of the main reasons I up my iodine to 2 drops a day to help prevent that, because my prostate is mildly enlarged, but not enough to block to give me any urinary problems, so I'm okay. But I've had an enlarged, they've told me I've had an enlarged prostate for the last 40 or 50 years, and they're always wanting to do something, and it's not, my PSA is non-existent, and there's no cancer, and leave me and my prostate alone. I've just been taking a couple drops of iodine a day. Everything works perfect, so I'm not going to fool with it. But they say 80% of men my age suffer from urinary problems caused by an enlarged prostate. Anyway, there's too much information coming from a question about what my sleep schedule is. Hope that answered your question. I do sleep more than enough. I never feel tired. I never have to lay down during the day, never take a nap. I just go. Scooby. Michael Prager. Mama Cracker says, what did you say, Patty? 42 and rainy. And yeah, we're certainly starting to get into fall, aren't we? Well, it is October. Halloween's coming up. Who haven't I said hi to? I know there's a lot of them. I'm just now getting up to 8 o'clock in the chat. So we'll go through some of these real quick, and then I don't have any speeches. I don't have anything planned other than responding to some of your conversation and joining in. So Coco is here. Hiya, Coco. Good to see you. Just be myself. You talking to me? Are you talking to me? Who else might I be? Satya, how you doing? I'm liking the morning live stream, sort of like Carnivore Church. I'm glad you like it. It's fun. I like it. In case you can't tell, I am having a good time out there in the morning, puffing on a cigar and drinking coffee, breaking all the rules, boy. Lambs has a question for me. Hey, Lambs, your thoughts about Bitcoin? Is it safe, anonymous, or your opinion? I have no opinion about Bitcoin. I have a cursory understanding of it. I understand how the mining aspect of it works. It's basically money or value out of thin air, but so is money printed by our federal government. So in that respect, it's not much different. I know it's the next big thing. The last thing in the world I want is to see our government institute a digital currency. That will give them the final control over the entire financial aspects of our life and allow them to shut off our money if they don't think there's something that we ought to be buying. That's a scary thing. Do not want central bank regulating my money. We need to be careful. We need to be careful. We keep putting these people in charge. Look what they've done to our food. Look what they've done to our country. Look what they've done to the world. And we want to let them be in charge of whether our Bitcoin card actually works when we go to try to buy food with it, or it says declined because you're not allowed to eat meat anymore. No. If it was up to me, this is old school. If it was up to me, I would buy everything out of my side pocket with $100 bills. I don't care if I had to carry a wad of them around like that. I would do all my business in cash with no receipts and no records. My generation was fortunate enough to have been able to do many things like that, to buy things for cash without having some taxing agency come chasing you for their cut of every time a dollar changes hands, either to you or from you. Those days are gone forever now. It's sad. It really is sad, but that's what we got now. Now, everybody knows everything you do. They know everything you buy. They know every penny that you spend. They know how much you got in your bank, where your bank accounts are. There's no privacy. And when somebody decides they want to take it away from you, you can't stop them. What's that got to do with Bitcoin? Well, I think Bitcoin is probably at this stage of the game safe. But give me $100 bills. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know they don't go up or down in value, but at least I know they're there. I'm the wrong guy to ask that question. Ask Elon Musk. But be careful when you watch Elon Musk talking about Bitcoin, because he's got what must be 50 YouTube channels that use his name, fronted as though it's latest SpaceX news, and then keep replaying the same speech that Elon Musk makes about investing in Bitcoin, and then they happen to direct you to some Bitcoin exchange, and it's a scam. It is a scam. So, and they can't stop it. These things come so fast, YouTube can't get rid of them. So just be real careful. Just be real careful. Here's Driftwood Smitty, Asia. How you doing? Wow, somebody new. Haven't seen that name before. Lori Weitzel's here. Hi, Lori. Good to see you. Here's somebody I haven't seen in a while. Mkai. Mkai is here. Hey, Mkai, how you doing? 21 days. Okay, Mkai. Mkai. Keep it going. Keep it going. I'm just perusing. Mark Davis says, I think I'm going to make meatloaf tomorrow using pork rinds. Yeah, egg, Mark. Use, depends on how much you make. If you're making a pound or two, you can get away with 1 egg or 2 eggs. If you're making a ginormous meatloaf like I made, the big 5-pound meatloaf, you can. I used about a half a cup of pork rinds and 2 or 3 eggs, and it worked out great. Then I put the bacon on top of it, put it in the oven and baked it. God, was that good. Got 5 meals out of that thing. Good luck. Let us know how it came out. Lori Whitesall, Scooby, Coco. Tammy's here. Tammy Pitarch. Hiya, Tammy. How you doing? I don't have an issue with my cell phone. I might be one of the few that don't sleep with it. I turn it off. I don't have kids. Yeah, well, I always leave mine on. I don't leave it. It's not right up next to my head. It's up a ways on the other side of the nightstand, and it sits in a wireless charger there overnight and charges. But I do leave it on. And I have my kids whitelisted. So even though I have my phone on silent, any calls from them will come through. But other than that, I don't want to be bothered at night with emails or anything else like that. And you can't blame me. Mark says, Scooby, I'm fine, thank you. Hope you're doing fine. Laurie Whitesall. Here's a question from Mask Mofo. Question, what is your favorite brand of hot dogs? Okay, I saw that one earlier, and I think we dispatched that. And there's where Mark C. gifted the memberships, and we're up to 8:09 p.m. in the chat. And what time is it now? It is 8:35. So I'm still way behind here. Sandy Blythe, how you doing? Good to see you. Rose Borgman is here. Hi, Rose. Good to see you. You start with 2 to 3 drops a day and 8 ounces of water. You know you took too much when you have a metallic taste in your mouth. I do 2 cups, and I do it in coffee. And when you put it in a cup in coffee, even black coffee, you can't taste it at all. You can't taste it. Valerie Thompson, good evening all. I as well love the morning with Mitch, but unfortunately I can't watch it until I see the replay sometime around lunchtime because I go to exercise. Well, that's fine. The replay is hopefully just as entertaining. Just Ellen, Mitch, Mark Davis, that's close. Mitch always thinks I'm in Minnesota. I think the North is a big blur for him. You mean, Ellen, say it ain't so. I thought you were in Minnesota. It's a good thing I didn't come looking for you. Would have been a long search. You're right. All those states up there, Illinois, Minnesota, Michigan, Indiana, they're all big blur to me. They're just one big bunch of shit around the Great Lakes, I think. I've been up there once or twice. I've been to Chicago a few times. That's about it. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, we have rain dancers here. Rain dancer 19. I'm always here, not always chatty. That's fine. Still in the dumps about Helene. Yeah, a lot of people are. It's going to be a long time cleaning up from that mess, I'm sure. B-Matt is here. How you doing, my friend? I like the Sam's Club. I'll have to take a look again at those, but I just see all kinds of crap I don't want to particularly eat. I'm not all that interested in them. I'm sure they're good. I used to love the hot dogs that Costco and Sam's sold at their cafeteria there, and they still sell them for $1 or something, very cheap, big quarter pounders. But I've just gotten out of the habit of eating hot dogs. Less junk, more health is here, says hi. The Imaginator is here. They grind up anything possible to make hot dogs. Most of the stuff, that's true. Most of the stuff that they grind up, though, is stuff you want to eat. You know, we're supposed to, they say, be eating head to toe, which means all kinds of unappealing sounding stuff that is still very nutritious. A lot of cartilage and toenails and noses and lips and ears and heart and organs, gristle and connective tissue. All that stuff has a lot of nutrition in it. It has a lot of collagen in it. It's good stuff. And traditionally, that's what they made a certain percentage of hot dogs out of. It was a very good, or any of these so-called processed lunch meats like bologna and that. But most people didn't know what was in it. They liked the taste of it. And, you know, it's one of those things. If you don't know what you're eating, who cares? So if you can get a hot dog that doesn't have the soy, it doesn't have the grains, it doesn't have sugar, but it has heart, kidney, liver, connective tissue, and other stuff ground up in it, that might be the best health food that you can buy, especially cheaply. And that's what I was looking for, but I couldn't find it. I know it's got to be out there. Ted and Cindy said, we bring hot dogs from down to Florida from New York because they don't have much of a choice in Florida. Well, that's one thing they do have up in New York is food. The wrong kind of food, unfortunately. Bagels and New York delis. I used to love those. And everybody's talking to each other. Rice and Beans is here. How you doing? They like to sneak in maltodextrin. Yes, they do. They put that everywhere. That's just sugar. Just one of the many, many, many names for sugar. Here's another question. Mass Mofo question. Are lamb chops expensive where you live? Got 3 little cuts for $12 and they usually don't have lamb. I don't eat lamb. God, I'm batting 1,000 here tonight being useless answering questions, but I don't see a lot of lamb at Sam's Club. I know they have more of it at Costco, but I haven't been to Costco much. I'll check next time I go. I don't know if I'm a real lamb aficionado. When I was a kid, we used to eat lamb chops, and I could take them or leave them. It's not the kind of thing I'd go out of my way for, and I'd much rather have a ribeye than a lamb chop. I'll have to take a look. I have to feign ignorance on the price of lamb. I just don't pay attention to it. Yeah, Ellen, I want to hear about your trip to Curry's too, and we're gonna make sure on Thursday night that we hear all about that. So we'll see you Thursday about that. Lori Whitesell has a question. Mitch, you looked extra happy this morning. It was nice to see you like that. Maybe winding down more. Yes, I was happy this morning. I was very, very happy. I felt good. It was a gorgeous morning, and that helps a lot. I mean, it was cool. It was in the low 70s out there. The sun was shining. It was dry. The humidity is down. I have pretty much completely unwound from the stresses of that storm and all of that stuff. And I was just feeling good this morning. And it makes me happy. I consider all of you guys to be my friends. And who doesn't like to be with their friends? So I think that's going to be something I look forward to until I don't. Because you never know what could happen, and you never know what might come along, screw something up, something. So enjoy the good times while they're good, I guess. Deal with the problems when they happen. But no, I really, thank you. Thank you, Lori. I wasn't fooling anybody, that's for sure. I wear my heart on my sleeve, guys. I always have. I'd be the world's worst poker player. If I'm pissed, you know it. If I'm happy, you know it. I'd rather be that way. I'd rather be that way. So what you see is what you get in most cases. Steve Studley, Bill Cook. Hey, Bill, how you doing? Waving at us, says hi all. Good to see you. Kate, good evening, Mitch. Glad you made it through the storms. You and me both. You and me both. Mass Mofo, another question. Do you have any lamb recipes? No, sorry. I am not the lamb guy. I'm sure that you could find 1,000 of them on YouTube amongst the carnivore and keto people, or even just the regular cooks, or Google. But my recipe for lamb would probably be exactly the same as my recipe for a ribeye. Maybe sous vide and sear it in butter, because I'm not going to be putting any of that foo-foo stuff on it. No mint jelly, none of the spices that a lot of people associate with lamb. That's the problem with being a carnivore like I am, trying to come up with recipes. You just take meat, stick it in a fire, and eat it. Throw some salt on it. It's hard to make it too complicated. I try to come up with some variations. But Gordon Ramsay, I'll never be. Not as a carnivore, that's for sure. Lisa Booz is here. Wife of Mark. How you doing, Lisa? Smoked some ribs for my coworkers today. Technician day at work. Good. I hope they enjoyed it. I hope maybe they figured out. Maybe that's what they should be eating, are the ribs. what I'm trying to do today is something different. I'm trying to just go down the chat that I get from StreamYard so that I can click it and put the comments on the screen, which I can't do from the chat that I get from YouTube. But it means that I have to scroll a lot more, and I might have to sit quietly for a few more seconds between finding ones to show you. I think about bacon when we run out, Mama Bear said. Yeah, I was talking about bacon earlier. You guys are not bashful about chatting. And there's the question about my sleep schedule, which I caught earlier. Matt James is here. Hi, Matt. Says, howdy, Mitch. And I see everybody's chatting up a storm. Ellen and Tammy and Lori and Scooby and Mama Bear. Wow, it's hard to keep up with you guys. Paul Penna. 6.5 to 7 hours. That's perfect. That's a perfect amount of sleep. Some people are great with 6. Some people are better with 8. I've always been more on the lighter side of the number of hours. I've always been good with, if I get 5 hours of sleep, I'm good. I'm good. Ricky Lee. Hey, Ricky. Good to see you here. Mark Booz likes my live streams. That's great. That's great. I think the in the comments that I get, I'm probably running 90-10 for the live streams. Maybe 1 out of 10 comments where people said they liked it the other way better. And if you're taking a poll and you get 90%, that's it's not bad. It's not bad. CB Carmack, I just noticed in the other chat, because CB put at Old Guy Carnivore and it lit up red on my screen. He says, I thought carnivores don't sleep. He says, kidding. You'd think maybe we don't, huh? There was something I wanted to do tonight, and as usual, I didn't prepare for it, so chat amongst yourself for a minute or two while I try to find these things. I did want to do this tonight. Let's see. Okay. I guess I can do it this way. Mark Booz. Mark sent me some pictures before and after. And on Tuesday night, I want to feature some of our members who've sent me, who've been brave enough, and I've gotten a few, but I want to do this on Tuesday nights. I want to feature some of our members who are brave enough to actually send me pictures of themselves before and after. And let me see if I can actually there you go. Okay, I can do this, I think. It may not be the greatest presentation, but I'm going to try, because the pictures are really big and I didn't extract them from the email, so I'm going to try to show them to you. But this is Mark Booz before. Ready? That's Mark. And let me get rid of that thing. This is Mark before. Wow. I don't know if that was in between, but these are some pictures. And look at this picture here. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Let me see if I can't make that a little bigger. What a handsome couple. I guess that's an after picture. But I've got a better after picture here. Look at this. Look at this, guys. Look at this. From this, holy mackerel. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. From this to this. Wow. And my kind of guy puffing on the cigar. Mark, you look great, man. You look like a new man, I'll tell you. Unbelievable. Just looking at your face. Just looking at the shape of your face. Look at that. From that. Look. Would you recognize that as the same guy? Would you recognize that as the same guy if you didn't know who he was? Unbelievable. Man, you look great. Congratulations, man. Congratulations. Mark Booz Sr., husband of Lisa. That's great. That's great. I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. So we'll do that again on next Tuesday, and we'll see if we can't feature. I've got a few more, and I get one or two a week. People send me pictures, so I hope we won't run out. Let me keep scrolling down here. Let me keep scrolling down. Bill Cook. I watched the Dr. Kilts talking to the lady lions, and one of them takes 20 drops a day. You know, maybe she's got a thyroid condition. Maybe her doctor prescribed it. I don't think 20 drops of iodine a day would be necessary unless you were basically aggressively trying to treat something. Now Kiltz is a doctor. He's a fertility doctor. Did he say or comment on that 20 drops a day? Aunt B is here. Hey, Aunt B, how you doing? Second device will allow me to chat. Yes, multiple devices are good, especially if you're watching a live stream on a Roku box or something like that. Here's another one. DC, learning to live. Good to see you tonight, my friend. Ricky Lee, magnesium malate powder is my new nighttime supplement. Helps me sleep. I've heard that. I take my magnesium in the form of magnesium citrate because I rather enjoy the mild laxative effects of it, but I've heard magnesium is good for so many things. I don't think you would go wrong supplementing it in one form or another. Sandra McDonald. How you doing, Sandra? Good to see you. Who do we have here? Kitchen Witch. Kitchen Witch. Me too, just turned 50 and feeling great. Keep it up. Yeah, you guys are, you don't need me. You're just talking to each other. Aunt B is here, says hi to everybody. And Kitchen Witch joined the private community. Welcome. Welcome. Good to see you. And we'll see you hopefully Thursday night. See you Thursday night. Ivan Vaughn stopped in. Says, hey. Hey, Ivan. How are you? How are you, my friend? Ellen is talking about cell phone radiation. And I've heard more and more talk about that lately, and evidently it is a thing. And RFK Jr., Robert F. Kennedy Jr., has really been raising awareness of that, making a lot of noise about it, and recommending that just holding that cell phone up to your side of your head all day is going to give you brain tumors. I don't know if there's hard evidence of that yet or not, but it is microwave radiation, and you know what microwaves do to chicken when you stick a chicken in a microwave. I don't think it can be good for you. Most of us have been doing that all our lives, but we don't hold the cell phone up to our head all the time. Most of us hold it out in front of us. But we do keep it in our pocket. So it does sit right up against maybe your thigh or where in your back pocket or your side pocket or your shirt pocket, and it is possible. And the one thing they recommend that you don't do is sleep with the thing, like right up on your nightstand, 6 inches from your head, and radiate your head all night long, which is why I said earlier I keep it on the other side of my nightstand, but I do keep it there, and I keep it on. Have I seen any problem from it? Who knows? Who knows? Like everything else, it's a fact of life. It's what we have, and it's what we're used to now. So, yeah, it's scrubbed on the. Yeah, people sleep with those things by your head. Distance is your friend. It's scrubbed on the interweb, but there's a lot of research with the old, weaker ones, an effect on your brain. Yeah, Ellen. At this point, err on the side of caution, but I wouldn't. I personally don't obsess over it, but I do think about it. And if I have a choice, I'll put the thing a little further away from me. We have so many things that are supposed to be so dangerous that we need to keep track of. It's amazing we don't all live in steel boxes and weld ourselves in. Ivan Vaughn, what's your take on grass-fed, grass-finished beef? That's a subject that keeps coming up, Ivan. I think it's probably more nutritious in certain respects than grass-fed, grain-finished. They say, they live out there in the same place where everybody lives, who says things too. Everybody knows, and they say, and what that actually means, I don't know. I don't know who they are. But they say that all cows are grass fed. And does that include the cows that are raised in factory farms? Do they actually put them out to pasture at all? Or are they just raised on grains? I don't know. I'm not a farmer, not a rancher. I'm sure I could find out if I wanted to. But practically speaking, what I need to know about beef is what they sell at Sam's Club, because that's where I get my beef. And that's the most important factor to me, is what can I get? There may be fabulous grass-fed, grass-finished beef, pristine pastures. I can't find it, not at a price I can afford, not for less than $50 a pound for some of this crap. So it's an academic point for me. I think that I'm in the same boat as most people. We have to do the best we can with what we can afford. I know I can't afford to be eating 2 pounds of ribeye every night. That's ridiculous. Or 4 pounds a day, like Sean Baker eats. And he has sponsors, and they send him meat, and he advertises their ranches. But you got to buy that stuff frozen. It's got to be shipped in. They have these samplers, you get 4 of this steak, 3 of that, 2 pounds of hamburger, $350. No, I'm sorry. I can't. I can go to Sam's Club early in the morning and hunt out the marked down meats, what I can do. And I try to get the best I can. And evidently, the meat that I'm eating is perfectly healthy because I'm doing great on it. And I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. There's always going to be something more luxurious, no matter what you buy. There's always going to be something where they tout a higher quality. And I guess that's important. And quality in food is very important. But I think, believe it or not, Walmart and Sam's Club has pretty decent meat. It's okay. It's grass-fed, grain-finished. And between you and me, I've tasted grass-finished beef. I don't like it. It has an entirely different taste than grain-finished, because we can't have our cake and eat it too. No pun intended. We can't have highly marbled, juicy steak with fat rippling through it in a grass-fed, grass-finished animal. They're going to be scrawnier. It's the grain that the animal turns into the fat that makes it marbled. Just like humans, humans that aren't feeding themselves grains are going to be thinner. And if you don't believe that, go out and hunt a wild animal. Just hunt any wild animal. Hunt a wild boar. Hunt a deer. These animals are always very, very lean. Unless you hunt a bear. We don't normally hunt bear to eat, but most game animals are relatively lean. Maybe elephants are fat, but I know the animals that my son always hunts, the deer, the boar, when we eat that meat, it is terribly lean, and we end up making sausage out of so much of it. And when we make sausage, he goes to Publix. His friend is a butcher over in Publix, and gives him a whole big bunch of beef fat trimmings. And we grind up half beef fat and half boar meat and make pork sausages out of these wild boars. But you got to add the fat to them. So I would rather make myself a grain-finished steak. It tastes better, it's juicier, it's got more fat in it, and maybe, from what I've heard, from sources that I consider trustworthy, that if a grass-finished piece of steak is 100% nutrients, then the grain finished one would chime in at about 95%. Now CB is chiming in here, unless you have a deer feeder full of corn like my dad, there is some marbling on them. Yeah, if you have a feeder and you're feeding the animals out there corn where you're hunting, yeah, now they're grain fed. They're grain finished. Absolutely. They're going to get fat. And that's how they fatten up pigs. That's how they fatten up all animals. You ask anybody that knows anything about animal feed, and they'll tell you that you want to make an animal fat, feed them grain. Well, humans are animals too, and yet they tell us that the healthiest things for us to eat, and we should be eating 6 to 11 servings of grains a day, but I don't see the connection. Why will those grains make a pig huge and won't make a human huge? Oh, wait, look around. Look around. Corn-fed is a slang expression used to mean fat. Wow, look at that one. Corn-fed, yeah. That's how it works. And it makes us fat too. But we want it to make our food fat. And believe me, the animal may eat the grain just like the human eats the grain, but what it ends up as is fat. I mean, when you look at what's you're turning into fat and storing in your midsection, you don't see any semblance of the grain. The only thing you might find is a little higher ratio of omega-6 to omega-3, but it's fat. It's fat. So when you eat a grain-fed cow, you're not eating grains. The cow has converted those grains to fat. And if there's any difference, if there's any detriment to the fat that comes from a cow that's grain-fed or the fat from a grass-fed cow, it's just going to be I think, from what I've heard, in the ratios of omega-6 to omega-3. How much of a difference it makes, I don't think so. I don't sweat it. You all know that I'm simple carnivore. The less complicated you make it, the simpler that you make it, the fewer rules that you have, the fewer things that you have to monitor and keep track of, the fewer things you need to worry about, the more likely you are to succeed. The more complicated you make it, the more likely you are to fail, because we're not supposed to regulate our own physiology consciously. It's not our job. Just like it's not an animal's job to regulate its physiology, monitor its blood levels and ketones. We have a minimal amount that we need to do to try to make up for what isn't in the food that we eat. And that's about it. Eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full. Now, if you have conditions, if you have things you're trying to fix that require certain actions that you need to take, substances that you need to take, measurements that you need to take, yes, you have to do that because you've gotten yourself screwed up. But for just general living, we're not supposed to have to control it or be in charge of it. We have tremendous programming that gives us all the signals and cues and emotions and urges that we need to drive us to acquire what we need to keep going and living, as if we had no ability to think consciously at all. Because up until very recently, all life on this planet that wasn't plants didn't have a conscious mind either, and most of it still doesn't today. but somehow manages to stay a hell of a lot healthier than the average human has. We're outsmarting ourselves, people. I sometimes wonder if I'm doing the right thing or the wrong thing, preaching this message. Am I missing something? Maybe. I watch other, and I guess call them influencers. I watch other influencers, especially the ones that are doctors. And I don't know if it's just a doctor thing, that they feel they got to be doing something all the time. The ideal life would be not to need a doctor. I mean, you don't need a plumber if your pipes aren't leaking, do you? Do you have a resident car mechanic that lives in your house just in the likelihood that your car won't start some morning? What else do you pay attention to every day, all day, monitoring it, watching it? But the doctors, some of these doctors on YouTube, and I'm not going to mention any names, I think some of them take this complication stuff to an extreme. You know, they'd have you wandering around like you were in a hospital with bags of shit dripping and wheels on them and machines hooked up to you, you know, walking down the hall in the hospital, dragging all this crap with you. That's great if you're sick. CGMs, constant glucose monitors. Somehow we managed to live for hundreds of millions of years, animals did, without constant glucose monitors. All that stuff just is great to show us. It's great to show us how wrong we are in eating the crap we're eating. Yeah, it does that. But, you know, how long do you need to wear one to find out I'm eating shit I need to stop? But they find it fascinating. And blood tests twice, 3, 4 times a day, measuring your ketones and all that other stuff. Why should you have to measure your ketones? If you're not eating sugar or you're not eating any carbs, which you shouldn't be if you're trying to cure your addiction, what the hell are you going to do about your blood sugar levels? You shouldn't have any. And your ketones should be taking care of themselves. All of that stuff is not really our job. We're not capable of acting and reacting fast enough to do anything about it. Now, if something's broken, yes, maybe a doctor can tell you to intervene, but they've got these people that are just trying to lose weight, just trying to get healthy. They're trying to turn them into doctors with the supplements and the routines and the sunlight and the grounding mats and the red light therapy and the blue light filters and barefoot in the morning. And who the hell? You need a personal assistant to keep track of all that stuff. Who can keep track of that? And I'm just the opposite. I try to be a minimalist on here. I don't know, maybe am I hurting people? Am I not telling them enough? Am I not telling people they need to be very wary of this, that, and the other thing? I don't think so, because I'm not. And it works. And it works. So I try to just keep it simple. I think we have the greatest chance, but I'm a hard ass on the other hand. I'm a hard ass on one particular point that I don't deviate on. I'm immovable. I'm immovable on that. A lot of people don't want to listen to me because they call me an extremist because I'm so immovable. And that is abstinence from carbohydrates, other than the trace amounts that we find in the animal foods we eat and the trace amount that I might allow myself that is in a couple cups of coffee. Zero carbs. And I harp on that. And that is what made it work for me. So I stick to it. And it's made it work for other people. And that means it's a hard line. It's a very hard line. It means not one bite of bread ever again in your lifetime. How extreme does that sound? Think about that. Not one bite of regular pizza in your lifetime. Not one cookie. Not one ever again. Now, it sounds like a life sentence to solitary confinement, but it really isn't. And that only applies to somebody who is at the highest levels of carbohydrate addiction, like an alcoholic. There are a lot of people who can drink moderately and don't binge and don't fall in the bottle. And for them, if they want to live with a moderate amount of alcohol, that's fine. But it just seems to me that a great majority of people are uncontrollable and irreversible carbohydrate addicts and don't know it or won't admit it to themselves. They cannot succeed long term, and by long term I mean a month or more, on any weight loss program. They always fall off the wagon. They always succumb to the temptations, and they always gain all the weight back. The recidivism is ridiculous. And I've always wondered, why is it that people have no willpower when they all proclaim that they do? And I just had to finally conclude one day that it's the carbohydrate addiction. And so I started studying addiction, and I learned the most important rule about curing an addiction is, you can't use any of it. You can't be a cocaine addict and just snort a little bit. You can't be an alcoholic and have just one drink a day if you're an alcoholic. And there are a lot more carb addicts around than alcoholics. So I take that hard line. That's the one line I don't cross, and I don't recommend people cross, and it makes me less popular than all the keto people. It hurts my growth on YouTube because I take that hard line, and people are scared of that. They don't think they can do it. They think that that's radical. They think that that's extreme. I think it happens to be the only way you'll ever get rid of the carb addiction, but I was wrong once before. And I know it worked for me. So I preach that. And that you're going to keep hearing from me, and I hope it doesn't scare you away. But I sure as hell get a lot of confirmation from all of you telling me how right I was after you've fallen off the wagon from one bite of something that your grandmother or your neighbor said, it won't hurt you, it's just a little bit. And that's all it takes. That's all it takes. So, hey, CB, he says, wait a minute, you're telling me there's a problem with one line of Coke a day only? Yeah, you better qualify that afterwards, Sheriff CB. Mark Davis says, I've been on and off carnivore, and one thing I realize is I don't fart as much. I love you, Mark. You're subtle as a freight train. I see Sherry. I'm going to go down to the bottom of the chat here. I think I have to say hi to just about everybody that came in along the way. Sherry Morgan's here. How you doing, Sherry? Good to see you. I have to stick myself 4 times a day to make sure I stay in medical ketosis to manage COPD and the complications with IDK. Wide shoes to check if not needed. I agree with you. I agree with you, Sherry. If everything seems to be working and you seem to be all right, and like I said, if you have a medical condition or something where you need to monitor or you need to medicate, yes, it's going to become more complicated. But if your body's working and you manage to snap thing, you manage to stay on carnivore long enough. And here's another thing. Thank you, Sherry. Thanks for that super chat. I appreciate that. Here's another thing, which I'll tell you as soon as I get a little dry here. I don't know. Sometimes this San Pellegrino has a little minerals and salt in it. Maybe I should just bring some ice water in here. Maybe this dries me out more. I was going to tell you another thing, and my mind wandered off in some areas. So, as my father used to say to me, well, it couldn't have been that important. It might be true. Might be true. Sherry had a talk about sticking herself, and I was going to tell you another thing, but it'll come back later. Ellen says to CB, responding to his, but one line of Coke a day. But CB, if it's organic, she says. That's funny. That's funny. Ellen says, I got some, here, this is the last one down at the bottom. I got some pea ketone strip because I'm curious to know what it feels like to be in ketosis, and I'm trying to up my fat enough. And yes, sometimes it can be helpful. Problem with the strips, Sherry, is that your body only dumps ketones when it's not being real efficient, which generally happens when you first start on any kind of a ketogenic diet. And I have found that in my own experience, after a week or two, you stop dumping ketones in your urine, and the only way to find out if you got them is to take a blood test, get a finger prick and a ketone meter, because they'll stop showing up in your urine. Maybe not. Depends. Let me know. Let me know. Sherry, what I mean is I have a medical condition that requires monitoring. Why would anyone choose to just for weight loss? Yeah, I agree. And the point I was trying to make, Sherry, was that there's so many keto and carnivore YouTubers who feel like if they're not doing something, they're not doing their job. And I can understand that. It's like I'll tell you the worst example of that mindset is a lawyer. And I've had a lot, unfortunately, I'd have to say, I've had a lot of experience in my lifetime. A lot of experience with lawyers. And I can tell you one thing for sure. You hire a lawyer. If you hire a lawyer, let's say you're about to enter into a business deal and you think it's prudent to have your lawyer review all the terms of this contract that's this thick. And your lawyer's going to charge you $1,000 because it's going to take him a couple hours if he even reads it. But you have to have some faith that maybe your lawyer will actually read it. And, your lawyer, he charges $500 an hour. So if he spends a couple hours on it, you owe the guy $1,000. Well, he is most certainly going to find things wrong, even if there are none. Because you're paying him. And he has to show you that he has earned that money you're paying him. So he will find fault, even if there is no fault. He'll go out of his way to find something that he can point out to you to justify the fact that you just gave him $1,000 for 5 minutes of his time, which is actually probably what he really spent doing it. And I know enough of these lawyers to know that's how they operate. They bill you for an hour if they've spent 10 minutes. And they always find something wrong. I was a home builder. I sold a lot of houses. I did a lot of real estate closings. And every real estate closings, we had 2 lawyers involved, and my lawyer and the buyer's lawyer. And both lawyers always made trouble. They always stirred up something. And that something usually required more work from them to resolve, which meant more money for the lawyers. And I think doctors these days, even though they're killing us and they're hurting us, I think that they love it. They love it. The more they see us, the more they get to prescribe, the more kickbacks they get from the drug companies. I think that they love that business model, or else they wouldn't participate in it. But they do, and they don't want to know. They're like, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. I'm just doing what they tell me. I'm just following the standard of care. My respect for them dwindles every day, less and less. Sherry, thank you so much, sweetie. You're very generous. Thank you. Thank you so much. Missing your morning coffee, so have a couple on me. I'll think about you tomorrow morning. And you could get up. You could get up. 8:30 is 5:30, you know, I mean. I don't know what your sleep schedule is. We miss you there. I'd love to have you. I'd love to have you there. I wish I could time it for everybody. But thank you so much. Really appreciate that. And back talking and having a conversation with Sherry here. Many of the carnivore doctors do YouTube like normal doctors, except exchange it for information. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not going to mention any names, but I think many of them way overcomplicated, and many of them keep it very simple and very basic. And I agree with them. I agree with them. Something just blinked over here. But it's not my job to say who's right or wrong. I could be doing it wrong either. I've always found in my life that the less complicated something is, the more likely it is to succeed. Seems like complications only make excuses for things to get screwed up or to do something wrong. And this really is the simplest thing. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Don't think about it. Here's the food you can eat. Acquire the foods. That's really the hard part. Get the foods you need. Keep them around. The foods you can eat are very limited, so it's not that complicated to have to shop for them. You know, you want some beef, you want some eggs, you want some bacon, maybe some chicken, fish. And then try a few different eating schedules. Try 1 meal a day, 2 meals a day. Start earlier, start later, see what you like. But basically, what you're shooting for is to never get famished, to never, ever feel like you need to eat now. You shouldn't. You shouldn't. You should stay satiated. If you missed a meal for a day, it shouldn't be any big deal. No panic. And I've settled for me, and it may not work for you, but sometime around 11 o'clock in the morning, I have my first meal, and 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I have my second. I try to eat about 2 pounds of food a day, 1 pound in each meal, and then I'm done. And I do not ever put anything else in my mouth except liquid except water, after that second meal. So I'm usually fasted for a good 5 6 hours before I climb into bed. And there are many people who recommend a rule that says don't eat after sunset. And I agree with that. And I never, even on the shortest day of the year, December 21st, am I going to be eating after the sun goes down. I try not to drink too much when I eat. And those are simple rules that I follow. And God, it works. It works great. It works great. Food freedom. That's what I've been trying to accomplish, because unless you can accomplish this, you're going to eventually fall off and go right back to what you used to do. Now, I'm very lucky. And don't you think I don't know it? And I would be very hesitant to change my life in any way that would put me in a position where I had to live in the same house with people who ate crap all day long. Out of sight, out of mind. And I think that's an important thing. And I think that, and I look back at myself and say, would I be able to have been as successful on this if I had a wife or a roommate or a live-in that had all the pantries and closets filled up with crap that I'm addicted to? Be like an alcoholic living in the back room of a liquor store, in the storeroom. I don't know. I it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I don't know how strong a person I am. But that question that I got today about how do I help my kid? It's a problem. It's a problem. And if you got to live in a house with your own kids that are constantly eating this stuff in front of you, it's gonna sabotage you too. It's gonna sabotage you too. I got chastised today in a comment, which I thought was interesting. I had somebody scold me for calling my son a kid. My kid. I called him my kid. My child. And he scolded me for that. He said, I got rid of that comment so fast I forgot exactly what it said. But basically his point was, your kid is 50 years old, he's not a kid anymore. He's an adult and should be able to have the willpower to not eat that crap. And I said to myself, what the hell does that mean? He's not a kid because he's 50. And because he's 50, he should be strong enough, have enough willpower to not be an addict. But the complaint was not about that. The complaint was that basically you shouldn't refer to him as a kid. He's not a kid. He's old. I mean, that was it. And so here I have somebody telling me I'm not allowed to call my kid, my son, my child, I'm not allowed to call him my kid anymore. That's what this guy was telling me. I was incredulous. I'm saying to myself, who the hell? Or where the hell do these people get off telling somebody they're not allowed to call their own child? And if you're a parent, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're 120 and your son is 90, he's still your kid. And that's not the worst of it. What the hell compelled this moron to take the time to write this lengthy comment chastising me because I still call my kid my kid. It was more a curiosity than anything else, but just when you think you've heard from virtually every kind of lunatic out there with every kind of holier than thou attitude, another one comes up and just takes the cake. So needless to say, I decided very quickly, I think I don't want to hear any more from this particular person, and adios. And I'm hoping that all you parents out there know that it is perfectly okay to refer to your child as your kid, no matter how old they are. And the older they are, the more proud you should be, I think. Ann Johnson says, your children are your kids. Yes, I would think that anybody would recognize that fact. I should have saved it. I should have saved a copy of this to read it so you could see just exactly how clear this person was in their meaning of basically finding fault with me for referring to my child as my kid. And I call him my kid or my kids. Listen, both my kids are in their 50s. They're still kids. And if my parents were still alive, I'd be their kid. You're right, Amby. This person probably didn't have any children, and he probably would have made a great drill sergeant somewhere, accepting absolutely no human weakness from anybody for any reason, because he's so great and perfect. That's what that's the epitome of being judgmental, I guess. Mark Davis, QQQs. What does that mean, Mark? Do you have a question? Tom says, old men still call me kid. I call everybody that's younger than me kid. I call 70-year-olds kid or kiddo. It's as far as I'm concerned, that's a term of endearment. All right, Sherry, I think I've left your comment up there long enough. Mark Davis is telling me to check the questions. Okay, I'll do that, Mark. I will do that. Let me see. Mark put a question. Hey, Mitch, time to move on. I have questions in the queue that need answers. Okay, I found that one, Mark. All right, buddy, what else is next? Masked Mofo. So, do you think it's probably feed a cattle a lot of grain for us so that the cows get fat? Smiles. Yeah, Mofo, I think that I can call you Mofo legitimately. You selected that as your name. Normally, you get hit when you call somebody that. I don't think it's up to us to decide, really. I think, you got a choice. You buy beef in a supermarket, unless it's labeled grass finished, you're getting grain finished. And how much grain they eat is how much grain they eat. And you just have to look at the beef and determine for yourself whether you buy the cut that has more marbling or less. And they rate them different ways depending on the quality and marbling. It could be choice, select, choice, or prime. Prime, of course, is the highest and costs the most. So you don't need to worry about them feeding the cows. You need to just kind of know the different looks of the different end products and buy what you think you like. And depending on the cut that you buy and where you buy it, you can determine whether it's got just that right amount of fat for you. And we have Lisa Booz. Have you tried carnivore jalapeno peppers? God, no, Lisa. I don't eat any plants, period. I don't care if they're carnivore or not. I don't see how there could be anything such as a carnivore jalapeno popper. What is a jalapeno popper? Whatever. If it has jalapeno in it, Maybe I misunderstand what a jalapeno popper is, but I don't eat peppers anyway, so it doesn't sound like something that I would eat. I don't even use black pepper on anything. Not because I'm that much of a purist, I'm just not a pepper fan. And I'm not one of these people that went out there to try to eat. What's the scale where they measure the hotness? And they have these things on YouTube where people are eating stuff so hot that they almost die. That's not me. I don't like spicy food. But I can't help you with that one. Sherry Morgan, what I mean is I have a medical. We got that. Mark Davis says, check your questions. Okay. I did that. I'm going round and round, Mark, so I may have missed your question from earlier because I just keep going round and round to the same questions. So let me try moving up in the chat. Mark, if you had a question that I missed, put it in there again for me, would you please? I'm just not seeing it. Sorry. Lisa Davis. Got that one. My son is dating a gal whose father works for Nabisco. My house is a 7-Eleven, Sherry says. Oh, Sherry, that's funny. That's funny. Oh, see, Chris Hope flashed by. Where are you, Chris? I saw your name. My buddy Chris. Good to see you. There it is. Chris Hope from Texas. Hi, Chris. Good to see you, man. How you doing? Tom says, I thought pea sticks were for finding out if you're pregnant. Well, they have those too. Mama Cracker says at 5 a.m. she's listening to Kiltsy. Well, that's 3 hours before I come on. I tune into him every once in a while if I get up at 4 or 4:30. Sometimes I do. Lisa Boo says, I work in a pharmacy. It's crazy to see people getting Mounjaro or Zepbound injectables for weight loss, but they continue to eat so unhealthy. Well, of course. That's why people do that. That's why people opt for the magic pill or the magic injection. You don't think that they're going to actually change their diet. They do that so they can continue eating the crap that brings them so much pleasure. Well, of course, when they prescribe the drug to you, they tell you that you need to change your eating habits as well. How many people do you think actually do? And that just shows you, Lisa, that we as humans, we may think we're fooling people, but we're actually fooling ourselves so much of the time. Everybody says, oh yeah, I want to be healthy. Oh, there's a shortcut? Okay, let me take that. Because in the famous words of Billy Crystal, it's better to look good than to feel good. Remember Fernando, remember that character he played? Darling, it's better to look good than to feel good. And people are like that. They care more about their appearance than their health. They'll prioritize their appearance over their health any day of the week. They do extreme things to their bodies, surgeries, all kinds of things. So they'll look better. And they're convinced that they're going to lose weight and look better, and that's all they need to do is take that shot. And that's just human nature, and that's sad, and I think that's just the way it's going to be, unfortunately. Unfortunately. I wonder if I don't think I can find anything. I'm trying to find your question here, Mark. You're making me work for it, young man. Don't see it. I keep finding the one where you keep telling me to look for QQQs. Found it again. Hey, I found something. Hey. All right, Mark. It was a chore, but I found it. Do you think steaks in the crock pot would be good? No. No. I think they'd be good. They'd be good, but I think you would be taking a tender cut of meat and basically overcooking it. A steak, at least for me, I enjoy a steak medium rare. In the sous vide, 128 degrees, I cook my steaks, and then I sear them quickly. In a crock pot, you want to slow cook a tough cut of meat like a chuck for a long time and get it up to 180, 200 degrees sometimes, because that just breaks down the meat and makes it tender. And I've tried cooking chuck like a steak, and I see so many videos of people that cook their chucks. They sous vide them. I tried one for 3 hours and seared it, and it was edible, but it wasn't a steak. It wasn't a New York strip or a filet mignon or a ribeye. It was a much stringier, tougher, chewier cut of meat. So the best way is a low, slow cook for a long time that breaks it down. That's why they use that meat for stew meat. That's why beef stew always uses tough cuts. You don't see them making beef stew with filet mignon. So, yeah, you could eat it, but you'd be missing out on what makes a steak really great. And that is that you can eat it much more rare because it's so much more tender than the tougher cuts of meat. And that's why it sells for 3 to 4 times as much a pound. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't see any advantage, and I have not ever even seen a recipe out there unless somebody's telling you that it's a great way to cook a steak. So I hope that answers it for you, Mark. I'm glad I found it. And I'm going to continue to look for some more QQQs here. It didn't show up in my chat that YouTube sent me, but I did find it in my chat that StreamYard sends me. And there's just so much of that chatting going on. Hope Mark hung around long enough for me to answer his question. Here's a person named Catfish. I love it. Phish, Catfish. Greetings from Ecuador. New to your channel, enjoying it. Thanks. Oh, my pleasure. Good to have you here. Always love to see people from South America. You say hi to Juan down there in Chile. He's a regular, please. And then we got Joyce Carnivore here. Good evening. Don't forget, eat meat. How could we forget, Joyce? How could we forget? Itasca Patriot. We failed at cooking chuck roasted steak too. Yeah. And then when I did that, and I made a video about it, I did cook it for 3 hours. I got a lot of people telling me, well, you need to, sous vide it for 24 or 36 hours. Well, I already knew that, but I wanted to see if I could do it because there are so many YouTube videos that are telling me that I could do that. I said, well, I'm going to try it. It didn't work. It didn't work. So, and they're getting $6 a pound and $6.50 a pound now for chuck steak. And when I buy the ribeyes, marked down, I'm paying $9-10 a pound for them. I'd rather spend a couple more dollars and get ribeyes than try to figure out how to make a chuck. And then people tell me, well, buy the whole chuck roll and butcher it yourself. Well, I could do that, but you still end up with and you're going to pay $4 a pound for that. You're going to end up with just as many chuck roasts. You're going to get a ton of hamburger. You got to go through all the work, and you may end up with 4 or 5 what can pass as a steak. A chuck eye, Delmonico, Denver. They have different names for some of these different cuts, but you only get 1 or 2 of them out of a whole chuck roll. Again, that's not keeping it simple for me. Oh, yeah, if I could get a real deal on those and I had a butcher to cut it up and wrap it and get it ready to put in the freezer, I'd say, God, I'll go for it. But I've settled in. I buy my markdown steaks from Sam's. I eat maybe 2, maybe 3 a week of steaks. The nights I don't eat steaks, I usually eat a pound of ground beef. And I've got that down to a science. I eat my bacon and eggs every day, about a half a pound of bacon and 5 or 6 eggs. I'm doing great. I'm wanting for nothing. I'll make something fancy once a week. Maybe I'll deep fry my salmon patties or make my chicken wings with the pork rind crumbs. And I put those recipes out there. Some people like a lot more variety. I happen to settle into the simplicity of this thing. And it just makes it a non-event. It's just not something I even have to give any conscious thought to during the day. Get a little hungry. I say, time is at 11. All right, let me go in there and whip up some bacon and eggs. You've all seen me cook bacon and eggs a number of times. It's a no-brainer. I can do it in my sleep now. I can clean up from anything I make in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I only spend time in the kitchen when I'm trying to film something or make a video. I try to impart that. Maybe that's not what you like. There are some people that have always been what they call foodies all their life. They're foodies. Food is their hobby. Cooking is their hobby. Being creative in the kitchen is their hobby. They're obsessed with food, everything about food. They have commercial kitchens in their house, all huge stainless steel 10-burner stoves. That's their life. Sorry to say, carnivore is not a great option for people like that. Carnivore is a great option for people who rather not think about the food, rather live their life, do other things, play golf, whatever, except being in the kitchen all day. So you do have those 2 different kinds of people. Obviously, those people are out there because they have how many TV shows? They have a whole network, Food Network. They have Gordon Ramsay, Alton Brown. They have cooking competition shows. It's crazy the emphasis they put on all this Michelin star crap and gourmet crap and plating things just perfectly and turning food into art. I don't think cavemen were doing that. Honest to God, I don't think cavemen were sitting around in white aprons and tall white hats, acting like a drill sergeant over a cadre or a battalion of other chefs underneath him, like you see in these cooking things on TV. They must have some appeal because people watch them. And people run out and buy all the stuff that they're using. To do what I do, you just got to go buy a bacon grease catcher, and a couple of frying pans, and an air fryer maybe. You're in business. It's so simple. It's so simple. I hope I'm not oversimplifying it and maybe missing something. But I keep telling you, it's my disclaimer. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a doctor. I understand it. I understand the chemistry. I understand medicine. I understand evolution. I understand all that stuff. I see how it all fits together. I can talk intelligently about it, maybe more intelligently than most doctors that I've ever met, but I'm not a doctor. It's not my job to prescribe things, whether they be actions or substances. You get in trouble for doing that because that's the way our world works. You got to be licensed and credentialed for all that stuff. I don't do that. I've been an experiment my entire life on myself. I've tried everything that's come down the pike as far as dieting goes. I know what doesn't work and what works finally. And I can tell you, everything doesn't work until I found Carnivore, until I abstained from carbs and plants. And those things aren't mutually exclusive, because if you eat plants, you are eating carbs. So abstaining from plants is kind of a given when you abstain from carbs. That leaves meat. So it just all boiled down to eat meat, eat meat, and take the rest of the day off. And I mean that. Taking the day off is something you can do when you don't have to focus on food all the time. Well, listen, my friends, good to see all of you. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for coming. Been at this for over 2 hours now since I hit the go live button, coming up on 2 hours at 10 o'clock. I'm going to get a little traveling music going here. I did something a little different tonight. I don't know whether it worked out as good or not, but I decided that I was going to try to spend the entire 2 hours doing more interacting and chatting with you guys. I tried to answer all the questions that I could find. I think I finally found yours, Mark. And if you had any more, we'll get them the next time. I see everybody is starting to say goodbye to each other. Good night all. Ann Johnson, Mama Cracker, Richard CDL driver, Linda Price, Papa Carnivore, Lori Weitzel. Ellen is still here. Good to see you, Ellen. And Ellen, I want to bring you into my morning coffee stream one day. So if you would email me and let me know the first day coming up that would be convenient for you, we'll do it. And I'm going to make you the first guest that I have to have coffee with me in the morning. Okay? So let me know. Email me. Hope you heard that. You're still typing away in there. And with that, my friends, I'm tired. But I'll see you first thing tomorrow morning, 8:30, coffee in hand. So, oh wow, Mitch, I'm honored. I'll be in touch. Good, Sherry. Not Sherry. Ellen. See, I am tired. I'm tired. I'm beginning to unwind here. So thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks so much for coming. I enjoyed it. Thanks for the super chats. Welcome to the new members of the private community. And with that, my friends, you know the drill. Take the rest of the day off And without a doubt, eat meat.